Hi, I'm Duane Duggan, Remax, a Boulder video podcast. It was exactly 1 year ago today that we had Marcia Waters here. She is the director of the Division of Real Estate in Colorado. So Marcia, it's hard to believe it's been a year, but thanks for coming back. We always enjoy having you.
Time flies.
Time flies. So I kind of want to just touch base with you and see what's going on down at the division. Why don't we start off with what is the division from the consumer point of view?
So the Division of Real Estate is the state licensing agency that's responsible for regulating real estate brokers, real estate appraisers, mortgage loan originators, community association managers. We register HOAs, and we also certify the holders of conservation easements.
Wow, that's a stack of stuff you're responsible for. Bunch of wild and woolly people out there, it sounds like. So, and I know you've got some stats. What are the counts of the numbers that you watch over?
Well, we currently have 42,073 real estate brokers. We have 2,648 appraisers, 9,402 mortgage loan originators, 1,355 community association managers, and then we have 7,155 registered homeowners associations in Colorado.
Okay, well, just a couple comments on the stats. 42,000 agents. Now, not all of those are realtors. I think about 25,000 of those are realtors that have subscribed to a strict code of ethics. So I just want to get that plug for the realtors in. So thanks for letting me do that. And I was just curious on the appraiser count. It seems like it's starting to get longer and longer to get an appraisal done. What's the appraiser count compared, if you have this in your head, a few years ago? How many appraisers do we have today compared to a few years back?
Well, unfortunately, we have been seeing kind of a regular decline in their populations each time they renew, and they renew on December 31st. So it's pretty typical each year at renewal that we see between 15 to 25% of the population going away.
Wow, so it could become tougher and tougher to get an appraisal here in the near future if the numbers keep going down. And how about, what's your gut feel on quantity of real estate brokers? Has that number been going up or down?
It's gone up a little bit since the market has come back. We hit about 50,000 real estate brokers back, and I believe it was 2007. And then when the market contracted, we lost some of them. But They are pretty much our healthiest population. When there's some that leave, there's always some new ones that come in.
Okay. And a big part of the division is consumer protection, and it's the opportunity for consumers to register complaints. So how many complaints do we get, and what kind of complaints are common?
We currently have 484 active investigations, and that's across all the programs. Of the 484, 293 of those active investigations are against real estate brokers. And the complaints will run the gamut, but kind of the common issues that we see are the MLS entry-only brokers. That's not a business model that is acceptable under Colorado law. We also have a lot of licensees that have some criminal interaction. So criminal convictions or guilty pleas can run them afoul of the commission. One of the leading issues that we see is failure to disclose a material fact. A lot of those cases have been going to the Real Estate Commission. We have brokers that don't quite understand brokerage relationships. They don't understand a single agent versus a transaction broker. And along those lines, they also don't fulfill their duties under the license law. And then we have this big group called unworthiness and incompetency. And that typically is brokers that take on additional tasks that they really are ill-equipped to deal with. Or they're just not practicing in a manner that is conducive to protecting the consumer. An example of that could be putting their own interests above and beyond that of the consumer that they're representing.
So how does a consumer find out information about the division? Is there a website that they can go to? Or
we do have a division website. It's www.dora.state.us/real-estate/. And on our website, you can search licensees. If they've got discipline associated with their license, you can typically see that on the website. That, or you can contact the division offices directly. You can also file a complaint online, and the regulations are posted on our website as well.
I was really impressed how you rattled off that website. That was pretty good. But another way to get to the division would be just maybe Google Colorado Division of Real Estate. Would that work?
That should take you to it.
Right, fantastic. I know in 2016 we did get some modified real estate contracts. And again, in Colorado, we're pretty lucky as licensed agents. We are able to fill out approved forms that the division approves. What about the changes this year? Were they all pretty well received, or any issues that came up, or has it gone pretty well?
I haven't heard any complaints about the new contract to buy and sell. Currently, what we're working on are modifications to the listing contract, specifically about the earnest money split between seller and broker. They are working on the post-closing occupancy agreement. We have heard from the real estate brokers that they would like to be able to use that form beyond the 30-day time span. And what we've heard is they would like to be able to use it for up to 60 days. So that is something that the forms committee is working on. We cleaned up the closing statement. There's a lot of just kind of ancillary forms that the forms committee is working on right now.
And one thing, since Marcia's been director, I know you've had kind of the philosophy of not trying to change the forms every year, because a lot of realtors and agents would get upset about having so many changes every year. And I think your philosophy is to try not to change them unless something big happens, is the bottom line, right?
That's correct. We actually went to the Real Estate Commission and asked them to put a moratorium on the forms and to really take a more calculated approach to making changes to the contracts, because the history has been there's been just tons of changes to the forms, and the brokers then have to use them, and we see on the complaint side a lot of errors being made. So the less the forms are changed, the better prepared the brokers are to use them, because they aren't changing this frequently. They know the ins and outs of the contracts. So currently we have a 3-year moratorium, and it's based on the date of the form.
Okay, and we do have great forms. I mean, I grew up with the Colorado contract. When I started, it took 1 page to list a house and 1 page to sell a house. And now it takes a little more than that. It's close to 30 once you add up all the disclosures and such. But overall, I think they are great forms, because they're designed to keep people on both sides, and the realtors too, and agents out of trouble. So they've done pretty well in that regard. So, Marcia, I know the sunset review is coming up. What does that mean to the Real Estate Commission as you prepare for that?
So we're currently under sunset review, and anytime they look at regulating an individual profession, they'll go through a sunrise process where they'll evaluate whether a profession needs to be regulated. If legislation is passed to regulate that profession, then each of those regulatory programs has a sunset date. So really, at the end of the day, the big issue that they're looking at is whether regulation needs to continue. And I don't think that they're going to come back and say that the real estate brokers can self-regulate. Definitely not based on what we see. But it also gives us an opportunity to look at that program and see what is working and what is not. So we've got about 2 pages of recommended changes. Some are more important than others.
Okay, sounds good. And when is that process complete?
They will issue the public report on October 15th, and that public report will make the recommendation of whether to continue to regulate or not. And if it's to continue to regulate, then there will be recommendations about how to change the program.
Perfect. I think that sums it up. So, Marcia, thank you for being here. Unless you have anything that you would just love to tell us about, we're good then.
Thanks for having me, Duane.
Okay, thank you, Marcia. Duane Duggan, RE/MAX of Boulder Video Podcast, signing off.